My name's Jeremy Abram, and this is Joe Perry. Joe Perry is a professional bartender, and you've been at it how many years now, Joe?
Almost 15.
15 years.
15 years, yeah.
And from what I have here, you've done a lot of high-end stuff and been a trainer for companies. Can you tell me where you started out in bartending?
I started off at the House of Blues. Actually, I started before that in like little local clubs when I was 21, 22. My first big break as a bartender would be at the House of Blues. I started there in 2006. It's more of like a nightclub. We have very attractive bands like Stone Temple Pilots, Kid Rock would play there. 2,500, 3,000 people venue.
How much volume do a night there?
Well, per bartender, you're averaging between 35 to $5 a night per bartender. The bar is doing 25,000. Yeah, it's very, very high volume.
Yeah.
I was a trainer there, and I was Employee of the Year there in 2008. And then I moved to I opened the bar, the House of Blues in Orlando, and transferred to Myrtle Beach in 2009, and I worked there until about 2002, where I got an opportunity to work at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville.
Wow.
And I was a corporate trainer there, and I was Employee of the Year there in 2008, where I transferred up to Connecticut, and I worked for the Scorpion Bar, which is in Foxwoods. It's another very high volume bar.
Did you manage at Margaritaville?
Yep, I was the bar manager there.
How many people did you manage at a time?
My bar staff was about 30 bartenders plus 10 bar backs, so about 40 people at a time. There I had the opportunity to travel the world. I did as I'd go as a corporate trainer, I'd go and open bars.
And what ones did you open for Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville?
I had a chance to open a venue in the Grand Caymans, the Turks and Caicos, Panama City. I opened one in Myrtle Beach, but that's where I worked for 5 years, where I transferred to Connecticut, so I opened that venue as well. Cozumel. That was a lot of fun. You go and you open the bar from scratch, train the bartenders, not necessarily train them how to bartend, but train them how to bartend to be successful as a Margaritaville bartender, because we had a lot of specialty drinks. We had over 60 specialty drinks, a lot of them containing 3 or 4 different liquors. So I'd go and teach them how to make things a lot easier for them and do things proper behind the bar.
In the way that Margaritaville wanted.
In the way that Margaritaville wanted, exactly.
That's the thing with bartending, right? I mean, every company wants it done just a little bit different.
Oh yeah, I mean,
your job as a trainer was
to train them. Like I would train someone at the House of Blues was completely different than training somebody at Margaritaville.
Yeah.
You're not training someone how to bartend. They know how to bartend if they got the job. You're training them how the House of Blues, the doors would open at 8 o'clock at night, and then 3,000 people would come in, and the show would be over at 12. So you get from 8 to 12 to do, $4,000 in sales. That's just nonstop. Margaritaville is more of a restaurant where you get there at 4 and you're done at 12. So you're doing the same sales, but a lot more complicated drinks. House of Blues is more of your rum and coke, your gin and tonic. Margaritaville is more of like a margaritas, white Russians, tropical drinks, Mai Tais, stuff like that. So
there's a lot of technique that goes into making drinks, isn't there?
There really is. I mean, if the common mistakes a lot of people make is they'll make a drink and they won't shake it. The first thing I do when I train somebody is have them taste. If you take a straw, you can kind of taste the drink. If you don't shake a drink, it tastes kind of flat. You can kind of taste. You taste the tequila. Then you taste the sour mix, and you can taste it all together. When you shake it up real nice, everything blends together. It's really an art form when you're making tropical drinks. Some drinks that layer, so like be red on top, yellow on the bottom. It's really an art form.
What's the highest night that you've ever had? As far as money on the
sales wise is I remember because it was this last New Year's. I did $6,500 on the bar, but I'm also on service bar, so I'm making drinks for the whole restaurant. So that night the bar did $28,000. There's 3 bartenders. They're all doing about 4 apiece. So figure that's 16. So I did 65 plus the remainder of those sales. So I mean, I probably made $13,000 worth of drinks. And that was at Foxwoods this last New Year's.
And did your tip work out for that?
Oh,
night?
yeah, well,
You make some money?
that's the thing with bartending is, no matter what, an average bartender is going to make 15% of your sales, and a good bartender makes 20%. So, the higher sales you have coincides with the money that you make. So yeah, normally in stuff like that you do pretty well.
How many people can you efficiently handle by yourself at the bar and be able to serve everyone effectively and make the maximum amount of tips?
See, that's the thing with bartending is you get to a certain point where you start to lose money. You can handle 10, 15 people and make them very happy and make 20%, or you can have 50 people and be efficient, but you're only going to make that 15% because you don't have a chance to talk with somebody. You don't have a chance to see how they like their drinks. It's kind of just hit and go.
Yeah.
So you make more money in a more intimate atmosphere. So 10, 15 people is they're all going to be very happy, and you're going to make a lot more money that way. Mm-hmm. When you start to get into large volume of crowds, it's customary to tip 15%. That's what everybody leaves. That's what you get. So it's kind of weird. You think you make more money with more people, but you actually make more money with like a medium amount of people.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there, if you're handling your own stuff, you have a method to take care of figuring out, if there's 20, 30 people sitting in front of you,
Yeah.
it must be hard to keep track, especially when you're working with someone else. How does that work?
Well, it's the way I train people is it's called a typewriter mode. You start over here, and the important thing is to make eye contact. If someone's in the back, if you make eye contact with somebody and you let them know that they're there,
Mm-hmm.
people are more patient to wait, that 5-10 minutes for a drink. If you kind of just ignore them, people get agitated. They're like, he doesn't see me and all that. But it's called a typewriter mode. You start over to the left and just greet people all the way down to the right, and then when you get to a certain point where the next bartender is, you start back over at the left.
Now, greet. Starting at greet, how do you train someone to greet?
That's a very overlooked concept is the greet, and it's the way I like to think it is. If someone's 10 steps to the bar, you make eye contact with them. Very important to make eye contact with somebody because it lets them know that they're there, makes them feel important.
Mm-hmm.
When they get to the bar, this is the very first thing when I train somebody is you put a bev nap down. When a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
When you put that down, it lets the other bartenders know that they're greeted. So they let them know that these people are taken care of. You put the bev nap down. You say hi, and if it's a venue like Margaritaville that has a lot of drinks, present them with the drink menu, and then offer maybe 2 or 3 of your specialty drinks. Like offer maybe, we have a great top shelf margarita with premium tequila, and we put Grand Marnier on top. Let them know, people are there for the experience. Let them know, some of the specialty drinks you have. There's nothing worse than going into a bar and the bartender puts down the menu and says, "What can I get you?" That's just very, very
Not
cold.
very personal.
Not very personal. And people go out, they're spending their hard-earned money. They're there for the experience. They want, dinner and a show.
Yeah.
So let them know what you have special. Give them a couple of minutes to.
And then walk away? Or
What depends. The people have different needs. Like either stay there and explain it to them, or if someone just wants to look at it and they want to look at it by themselves. As a bartender, you learn the feel of who wants your attention and who doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So if present them with the menu, offer a couple drinks, and maybe go over and do to the next person at the bar, do the same routine with them, and then come back and answer any questions somebody might have.
Yeah.
So, it varies from person to person, but in my experience, people like to try new things when they're at new bars.
Now, how do you spread your time around when you're dealing with 20 or 30 people? Because sometimes some want to talk and some don't, obviously.
Yep.
How do you spread your time out there and make it work so everyone is happy?
That's something that comes with time.
Kind of an art form in itself.
It is an art form in itself. You have, you might be talking to one person over here, but you see somebody come into the bar, so you have to learn to walk and talk, I call it. You're gonna walk away from somebody, but you're still talking, and you go over this and start a conversation with somebody else, and then the next time you're over here, you continue the conversation where you left off.
Right.
So you can't get into the mode where you just talk to one person at the bar, because yeah, they're happy, but the 20 people at the other 20 people at the bar
Are pissed off.
Are pissed off. Yeah, they're not
Right.
very happy.
Right.
So it's an art form. You got to learn to what people's needs are, and you cater to that, but on your own time. You got to be able to make the drinks. You can't just stay one spot and make one person happy because the rest of the bar will pay for it. So.
Right. So,